Welcome and welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about how to formulate a clear and executable AI, ML, and data solution requirement to your tech team without deep technology. You probably see this cartoon demonstration about software development before. The final product looks nothing like what we expected. When it comes to communicate your vision for data or AI solution, the same thing happens. My name is Celine Xu. I'm working as an AI and data strategist in a huge international company now. With more than 10 years hands-on experience in machine learning and AI, I helped many organizations build and refine their AI and ML solutions successfully. I was a strategic consultant long before I became a data scientist. With a deep knowledge and diverse experience from both business and engineering side, one of my mission is bring closer business and tech teams and leverage AI and data for human-centric decision-making to generate better results. I'm breaking today's video into two parts. In this second part, I will provide you a 5-step framework, help you refine your thinking about any AI or data business case to formulate a clear requirement to your tech team and minimize the gap between the product and expectation. We've talked about 4 major challenges, or say key reasons, of why there is a big gap between the requirement and end product. First, unclear about the core problem. Second, vague communication about the definition and metrics. Third, too generic requirement due to unclear focus. And the last, lack of consideration about how to put the solution in the daily operation. It's time to get practical. Let's talk about a simple step-by-step how you, as a business stakeholder or domain expert, can formulate a clear, executable product requirement. Step 1. Map out the user groups and ownership. Ask the following questions and note down your answer. Who are the major user group for your request, product, or solution? Any other user group you need to consider? Who will use the product in a different way? And what each user group's proportion, respectively? Which task each user group need to accomplish with the solution or product? Why they may be interested in the solution at the first place, and how will each user group use the new information or product in the daily work? What information the user need to get the adoption? It is also nice to consider who will have the ownership of the solution and who will be responsible for the maintenance and how the cost of the product will be distributed among the team in the future. Once you map out the user groups, it's time to move to the second step. Step 2. Define the core problem. Focus on the frustration, not the solution. It is essential to separate critical must function from the nice feature. This distinction helps in future solution evaluations and also ensure a realistic expectation about what the solution will deliver. You may struggle to articulate what function you actually need. Of course, you're not a solution architect or data science, but you must know what makes your current process most frustrated and what information you need the most to make better decisions. So, before you even consider the potential solution, ask yourself and note down. What are the biggest frustration I had? Why I want or need the product or the solution at the first place? If I need to scope down to a single problem to solve, what is that? Do you need to consider other user groups' need and what they want the most? What is essential for a solution to work as a result? What would be helpful but not critical? If you can only order 3 functions, what would that be? It is your responsibility to clarify what problem are you trying to solve and to elaborate clearly the priority of different problems. This will provide your team and yourself a much clearer picture. What could the solution look like and co-create with your team of the co-functionality. Be focused. Then we move to the step 3. Define the outputs and what success looks like. At this stage, you don't need to know how the solution will be built, but you do need to have a clear vision of what outputs you need. Go back to our first metaphor. You really need to know and tell your team clearly whether you want a swing or a sofa before the execution. How we can actually define the output? First, give the output a definition. Is that a database? Is that an automation? Is that a dataset or a recommendation engine? The definition do not need to be perfect, but should be clear enough to help you and your team to distinguish what you really want and what you don't. Second, give some detail about the output. For example, the granularity level, the frequency level, or any important information you can think of. For example, you want to have the prediction per day or per hour. Do you need the calculation on per customer level or per transaction level? You may also want the solution include a simulation function, which will let you try out different variables or scenario manually to test. Of course, you are not able to cover all the critical information at the first place, but just to provide the most important information in your mind, you can already help your team a lot to shape the product, and you can still have continuous conversation forward. 3. Specify the output format. Do you plan to have a prediction in a database and analysts can use query to retrieve them when they need, which you actually want a static table in the database? Or you want to integrate the output directly to the downstream system like BI, automation? What could be those systems? Or you do need to create an user interface for the user to access the output. The more information you can provide, the gap will be closer between your expectation and the real product. Next, define how success will be measured. You need to communicate the clear definition of any abstract work. What exactly do you mean by increased efficiency? How do you define the relevancy? Provide context and provide examples. Don't assume your tech team and your AI system have the same business common sense as you have. Ideally, you can provide clear measurable metrics and priority among each KPI. You need to know which question you are not sure and you need to test or co-create with your tech team. If possible, you even can describe what will be a good enough solution looks like and how we can tell the product is successful or useful. Should we use historical data to test, or you need A/B testing for a real business metric, like revenue increase? If the model performance metric, do you want to use precision or accuracy? How much do you need to improve? 75% or more than 85%? If doing A/B testing, which metric is your business KPI? Cost? Net promotion score? What could be the reasonable improvement percentage? Think the availability of the metrics you want to measure. Which metric you can get easily and what we need to collect in the future. Without ideal metrics, could we build an index from existing data to proxy what you want to measure? And what could be the risks? It isn't about design a perfect metric first time, rather understand. Execution need clear defined metric and ensure you will have an open, interactive discussion with your tech team during development. The clearer you articulate expect output and evaluate metrics, the better your team can translate your vision into a working solution. It works for all product types. A data product, a dashboard, or an algorithmic model. Last, step 4, share key information about inputs and how the outputs will be used. As we mentioned earlier, you are the expert in your business domain. And to build something truly useful, your tech team and AI partner need to know the context, the business logic, data understanding, and the clarity on how the result will be used. Write down and share first. What information do you believe is important for the solution? Like which data points must be considered and why? What data do you know the company already has and what data is still missing or need to be acquired in the future? Is there any integration problem? Second, where can the team go to find more information if needed, including who should the data engineer, data scientist turn to when they need to discuss data availability or business rule, where they can looking for the material or documentation, or who actually from the final user group can be involved in the solution creation process. Third, how do you plan to use the output? For example, what decision will the output support? Before this product and the solution, how existing process looks making the decision, or how currently the data used in daily operation. Are there any existing workflow that would be changed in order to use the new data or the tool effectively in the future? Fourth, what risks and challenges are already known? For example, be transparent about the potential limitation, data gap, or business constraints upfront to the user and tech partner. What additional information the user might be need? Feel confident to adopt this new tool in the future. Maybe the metadata about the data source or the model explainability. You have to plan this in front. When you're actually talking about execution and adoption, then you will have better situation. In summary, to help we easily remember what information we need to provide or communicate in a product requirement, we can use this simple acronym, U.P.O.M.C. U for user, who are the target user groups? P for problem and purpose, what's the core problem and what are you trying to achieve? O, outputs, the detail level of output are needed, at what level, how often, granularity. M for meaning and metrics. How do you define abstract concept or evaluation metrics? What's the most important one? The only one. Last, C represent context. What are the key inputs? And how will you use the result actually in the future workflow? If you can clearly communicate those 5 key elements to your tech team, you will dramatically increase the chance of getting the solution that meets your expectation and build a much stronger, more collaborative partnership with your tech execution team. Something important in the end. This is not a linear checklist for one-time use. It is an iterative process. The initial requirement is just a start point. Build a solution that not only functional, but impactful and practical, require ongoing collaboration throughout the development journey. Treat your engineering and data team as equal partner, not just force of executor. It's important to know what you bring to the table and understand what your tech team are able to contribute. And be clear about what you already know, what you don't know, and what your tech team need to know from you to success. I've created a free download and the summary of this U.P.O.M.C framework. You can find the link below for download and kickstart a better conversation with your tech team. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.